Hello, everybody. This is the topic everybody wants to talk about. So, how to avoid probate? Why do we get told we have to have trusts? We have to do all this extra paperwork and pay these lawyers lots of money. Okay. So, how to avoid probate is actually a lot simpler than you think. And I see just as many people with trusts go into probate as with wills. Okay. So that's a very big misunderstanding of how the system works. So I can talk in general federally, but also bring in a little bit of Arizona knowledge as well. So the first thing we have to understand federally at all state levels, we have to understand how stuff transfers. Okay, how when we pass away, what takes priority? If my will says that my couch goes to my daughter, but not my couch, let's do my IRA. My will says my IRA goes to my daughter, and the beneficiary says that it goes to my son, and my trust that I wrote long ago says that it goes to my wife. Who does it go to? Okay, so that's going to be the absolute definitive way for you to understand how to get your stuff to your heirs without dealing with probate. Okay, a lot of us want to pass things as simple as possible. Okay, so the first thing we have to know, property titling. Who owns this? Real estate has titles, cars have titles. All your money accounts have titles. They have owners of those accounts. Your bank accounts, your investment accounts, your insurance accounts, all have owners. So that ownership paperwork comes first. If you own your house, joint tenants with rights of survivorship with your spouse passes away, you still own the house, there's no probate. Or if you get a trust and you own your house in your name and you move it to the trust owns the house now. If you pass away, the owner of the house is still alive. The trust owns the house. That's why the trust really makes people think that they're fine. They're not going to end up in probate. But you got to put the house in the trust. You got to change the ownership of that house to the trust for that to work. Okay. Priority number 2. Beneficiary designations pass without probate. If you fill out beneficiary forms on everything, you can put a beneficiary on your house. In Arizona and about 12, 13 other states, you can put a beneficiary on the title of the house. You can say, my wife and I are the owner and my kids are the beneficiaries. And when you pass away, it automatically transfers to the kids. That's what's so awesome. Okay. Here in Arizona, we can do this. We don't need a trust to pass real estate to the next generation without probate. We can do it with a beneficiary designation. You can put a beneficiary on your car here in Arizona. That's wonderful. Many other states allow you to put beneficiaries on your car. When you pass away, beneficiary form, boom, it's gone. Okay. No probate. Bank accounts. TOD, transfer on death, or POD, payable on death. Same thing for investment accounts. Fill out beneficiary forms on every monetary or investment account, any cash account, anything. You have a money market account, you have a bank account, you have 7 IRA accounts, 2 Roth accounts, and 27 brokerage accounts. Great. Beneficiary forms on every single one. Beneficiaries are the same as TOD, transfer on death, and payable on death, POD. Okay, those are universal, interchangeable, no problem. A banking employee doesn't know what a beneficiary is. They call it payable on death or transfer on death. Okay, so beneficiaries, list them properly. Okay, that's not always easy. There's a lot of things you can do on those beneficiary forms. There's even ways to name a custodian for a minor child. Okay. If you have a son and a daughter and you put 50-50, if the son goes down on the plane with you, everybody's gone except the daughter, who gets the son's 50%. His family, your grandkids, his children, or the daughter, the sister in this case. It's the daughter. You just disinherited all the grandkids on the son's side. So we have to know what per capita and lineal descendants per stirpes and all those wonderful things. And that sounds like, well, I need lawyers. Well, not really. Any good advisor really understands that. Lazy advisors don't fill out all the paperwork and leave blank spaces quite often. Okay. So make sure these beneficiary forms are filled out properly. It's very important. A good advisor can always help with that. Wills and trusts. Notice third priority. And a will and a trust pretty much have the same priority and power. A trust is not better. A trust is just different. That's all. Okay? Their third priority, whatever the titling and the beneficiary says, dictates everything. And then if they don't have an answer there, they will go to a will or a trust. And the final is gifting. Okay? And I got news for you. If you have an account that should have been taken care of with titling or beneficiaries, if they have to go to the trust or the will, the they is the courts, and it's a probate. It's the only reason they will be looking at the wills or the trusts. Gifting is crazy, terrible, don't do it. Causes arguments. Look, unfortunately, we get very thoughtful late in life, and maybe we're cleaning out the house and downsizing and doing things like that. Just make sure none of the stuff above it contradicts the gifts that you're doing. Okay, please be careful. Grandfather clock, the niece helps you out. It helps you to downsize, and you give her the grandfather clock, but you forgot that in your will you said the grandfather clock went to your son. The son has legal rights to get it back. So be careful about that late life gifting. If you gift a lot of money, try to do it as fairly as possible and in line with your beneficiaries and your wills and trust wishes. So what do we need? Well, we do need documents. That's one thing for sure. Okay. So trusts, if you have large estates over the federal exemption limits, which are like $12 million right now. So you got to have more than 12 million before monetarily you need a trust. Okay. If you're in a state, maybe let's say Washington State, my parents are in Washington State. The state has a limit, an estate tax limit of a little over $2 million. So a lot more people are going to need trusts in that state to help mitigate the estate taxation in the state level. But Arizona has no estate tax. So you just have to worry about the feds, and the feds don't care about anything under $12 million right now. Real estate in multiple states. There are a lot of states out there that don't allow beneficiary deeds. Nobody wants to end up in probate in 2 states. Okay. Certainly you don't want 1 state, but what's worse, 2 states. And 2 states try to argue with each other on which was your primary residence and which is going to try to tax your entire estate. So if you can't pass the house by beneficiary deed in the state that you have real estate in, you definitely need a trust. Family businesses, especially if they're going to live on after you, definitely need a trust. Farms that are income producing, all that kind of stuff. Lay things out in a good, solid trust. And then there's the crazy family dynamics. Lots of crazy things I've seen out there. So the more difficult the situation, the more you can utilize a trust. The quick, easy example of difficult family dynamics, you have a special needs child that you want to put money away for that is going to get doled out along the way after you're gone. Managed from the grave, we call that. So lots of reasons for a trust, but everybody doesn't need a trust. Wills are best for most, I'll be honest. The vast majority of people out there only need a will-based plan. Okay, you got to do the same work either way. You got to do more work as a trust. You got to make sure beneficiaries are filled out properly. It's really important when you do a will-based plan, but it's also important with the trust. You got to make sure the ownership is the trust and the beneficiaries are listed. Okay. So single real estate ownership, especially if it's a state that allows the beneficiary deed, you should be fine with a will. No business ownership. Okay. If you own a business, and I'm not talking about owning their stock, I'm talking about actually owning a business, then you're probably going to have to go to a trust if you own the business. Simple family dynamics. You got 2 kids, you want them to go 50-50? Great. That's quick and easy. I've got 1 kid. Everything's going to the 1 kid. Great. Everything's quick and easy. And then less than the lifetime estate tax exemption, which again is over 12 million. So some of the essentials, if you haven't created the documents, please, please, please get these things done. Unexpected life occurrences happen without notice. So please choose one of these. I really don't care, but I will tell you will-based plans are way easier. It's one thing we do for our clients. When they pass away, we jump in and help get things cleaned up with the kids. So it's really important to understand that the will-based plans are simple. Send death certificates to all your account holders. They send the money to the beneficiaries. Boom, you're done. The trust, send the death certificates to all the account holders. They send the money to a trust account. Then the executor of your trust decides how and when to dole out the money. You're adding a middleman. You're adding complexity. Okay. And most of the people that you put in charge, typically it's overwhelming and they don't know what to do. Okay. So review every account and make a list. Your heirs don't need the treasure hunt. Don't hide everything. Please. It makes it so much harder. Just make a list of every account that you have that has any value. Okay. You don't just, even if you simply just put the name of the entity that holds it, you don't have to put dollar amounts or even account numbers. It narrows the treasure hunt down. List your beneficiaries properly. Will-based plans are best for most, and fund your trust. If you get a trust, you're not done. All of your accounts have to be owned by the trust except the IRA and the Roth accounts. Everything else, your bank accounts, your cars, your houses, all should be owned by your trust if you have a trust. That's called funding your trust. If your trust doesn't own anything, why do we have the trust? Because you're going to go to probate with it to then settle the arguments on who gets what. Okay. So it's not hard. It sounds hard. You can pay a lawyer to get either of these done. Typically, lawyers push you to the trust side. Most people need the will side. So a good advisor will always be there to kind of guide that and help out with that. It's important to know which is best for you so you can set things up so your heirs don't have a crazy difficult time. Thanks again. That's it for today. That's the education. Please, if you haven't discovered the rest of the YouTube page, there's lots of education on here, and we're adding every single week. We're adding 3-4 things every single week. So please keep coming back. Subscribe. We need the subscribers. That's how this channel works. We need to get first to 100 subscribers, then we need to get all the way to 1,000 subscribers. So share it. Let people know about the videos. These can help a lot of people in a lot of circumstances. And obviously, if we can help in any way, give us a call anytime. Thanks again. See you next week.